Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Union This Time We Talk, Season 2, Episode 5. I'm Carlos Smith, back with the team again today. To my right, I have Ms. Anastasia Booker, Mr. TJ Booker, also Mr. Alex Tucker, and Ms. Tamika Wilson. Today we have two very special guests with us as we discuss the state of Union County. To my left, we have the Supervisor, Mr. Frank Hart, and also the newly elected Sheriff of Union County, Mr. Jeff Bailey. How are you doing today?
Doing fine, great.
That's great. Just starting out, my first question, of course, like we will be discussing the state of Union County, so in you two gentlemen's opinion, I want you gentlemen to talk about the state of Union County, both of you guys' opinion.
Okay, you go ahead first. Okay. So, COVID has negatively impacted the whole country, right? And particularly rural areas have been hard hit. So Union County has seen its share of that. But there is a little bit of a silver lining. Obviously, as we hopefully start to move out of COVID, I think we're going to see there's a renewed interest in rural communities. And we certainly, I know I'm aware of multiple people who have relocated to a rural community like Union County from more urban areas. So over the past decade or so, you've seen people move from rural to urban, right? That's been the path. But I think we're going to see that reverse a little bit. So I'm very excited about Union County. If you look at our employment numbers, for the most part, we've recovered from our peak with COVID. We're not quite back to our post-COVID low, but we're getting very close. Probably about a 75 to 80% recovery on employment, which is really good. We were in a position of full employment before COVID with our unemployment rate. Basically, employers were saying we cannot find folks who want to come to work. So we're not quite back there yet, but we're moving in that direction. So I'm very hopeful. I think we've got a real bright future in Union County. I think we're going to see some good things happen as not only the whole country, but rural America kind of pulls out of this thing.
And from the law enforcement end and judicial, like I said, we've been slowed down with the judiciary. It's been pretty well shut down as far as civil and criminal issues go, and so that creates a backlog with solicitors, which just creates more work for more people in the judicial field. But as law enforcement, people still break laws every day, no matter whether we have COVID or not. So we have to deal with it. We're still working full staff as well as we can, 24/7. But overall, the law enforcement side of it, as far as the sheriff's office is concerned, we have a bright future. Everything's looking up. We have a good working relationship with the city police now, and also other agencies that we have contacted. I've actually personally met with DSS and Probation Parole, Children's Advocacy Center. Like I said, I've had a lot of meetings, and what I'm trying to do is bridge that gap between these agencies where we didn't have a relationship. So I'm all about Union County, and the more assets we have that we can put our hands on and work as a team, the better off we're going to be. And that's kind of the direction that I'm heading, and I want to see Union County go. And I really feel positive about it, because it's just the 2 months that I've actually been sheriff and in charge of the sheriff's office. It's been a real good deal. I had a lot of some issues as far as crime goes, but as far as personnel working and doing their job and being held accountable, I feel good about it.
Okay, hey, so that was great opening statements there, guys. And I agree. You being in office 2 months now, you have been faced with some challenges, some things, and you responded well. I personally like the ice cream that you did, the voucher that you did.
Right.
Yeah, I like that.
And I like to be honest about that. That was something that actually Captain Wright and Captain Cofer had already started prior to me getting there.
Right.
And I just helped them, facilitate it, kept the program going and made sure we did it the right way. So I like to give credit where it's due. I didn't actually come up with that idea. They did, and they did a great job. But they were already being proactive, before I actually started. They'd heard what I had said that I'd like to see happen in Union, and they actually took the ball and run with it. And like I said, I give people credit when it's due.
I agree. Because I've been surveying it, and based on all your actions, you have been real inclusive in terms of working between interdepartments, different agencies and things like that. So COVID is real, right? COVID is something that's plaguing our community right now. We were recently speaking about the vaccinations, but I want to keep it back on Carlos' initial question about strategy. going forward, now that we know that we've been exposed to this and how our community reacted to COVID and how it hurt us or maybe have helped us, I'm sure there's been a spike in, creativity business-wise, but from a higher level standpoint, the strategy that we have in place for what was it, the 249 document that was sent out up until 2020.
Oh, the comprehensive plan?
Right?
Union County comprehensive plan.
Right, so how does COVID right now affect that initial vision? Like, are we altering or are we staying the course?
Not really currently altering it. I think everybody is still trying to figure out and hopefully, I think we're all hopeful that COVID is the blip, right? That this is not the new normal, right? That's what we're all hoping for. So I think as we move through this year, we're going to have a better understanding as to the vaccine now is available, the vaccine gets rolled out, we start to move into herd immunity. So do we move back to normality, at least on the local level? So I wouldn't say currently it's impacted the comprehensive plan, but from a national standpoint, I think this whole concept of infectious disease and international travel and the World Health Organization, all that stuff, which is way above my pay grade, I think that's going to hopefully have some positive impact in terms of how we deal with these things, and hopefully we get ahead of it instead of, we kind of, as a nation, we kind of fumbled a little bit through this COVID response. So I hope to see more leadership from federal level to get us to where we need to be.
Okay.
To me, it shows how strong the community is when you have to adapt to change, and that's what we've had to do. We've had our whole world turned around, and it's changed. So how does the citizens of Union County adapt to that change? And I think we've done very well with it. I mean, with what we have to work with and what we can do, and and what they're asking us to do as far as health, to keep our health good. Union County has really, I think, did well to adapt and to show you what type of people that live in Union County. That they're willing to work and make things better.
Can I piggyback then off of the community and adapting? So I know recently there was a call out for people participating more in the civic side of the house with commissions and boards, and I know you can speak to that, Frank. Was there an increase in people applying and participating, or is there a decrease? Has it been sustained? What does it look like now as far as people participating in the civic side of the house? Commissions
In terms of stepping up for those opportunities?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that, I don't know what the COVID impact on that is, but just over the last several years, I think it has been harder to get people to step up and be willing to participate, right? Everybody's busy, everybody's got obligations, but it is important on a local level that folks do that. And it's important that we recruit people to our community who can offer a little different perspective, right? If all you know is what you know, you don't know what you don't know. So it's important to bring in people and try to plug those people into positions. So yeah, that's a general call, and I kind of did that at the last council meeting for folks. If you're willing to serve, reach out, apply, talk to your council member, because we need folks who are committed. You and I recently were in a meeting where I was kind of twisting the arms of some folks, hey, I really need you to stay and work on this because it's an important initiative, and you kind of heard that. So fortunately, social media has hurt that a little bit, right? A lot of people, politics aside, running for public office, just don't want to get involved because they don't want to get drugged through the mud on Facebook. I hate that that's where we're at today, but that's where we're at. So we have to be real intentional about making sure folks understand we'll support them when they get in those roles. Because people don't want to get, pulled into that drama.
Okay, that's very interesting to hear. So, let's talk about healthcare in a standpoint of Union, right? We spoke about, I know that you guys speak on the vaccine and, how we've been distributed down. I know Union, we don't get it last, but we get it when we need it, right? So I'll let you guys speak a little bit more about that, the vaccine and how they're going about continuing to get that supply.
So we're happy. My primary contact with DHEC is Candy Fredere, who is the Upstate Region Health Director. She has about 13 or 14 counties, but working with her in the delegation, we asked to make it a priority that we make vaccinations available in Union. We've been doing that for several weeks now. It's very much been supported by the public. We typically fill up within an hour or two of opening a clinic, for instance, at the rec department. So the question has not been citizen participation or even getting the word out, it's just been getting enough vaccines. So hopefully that's going to change. Regenesis is now online, they're a component of our local healthcare too. They fill a very important niche for us in this community. They're now doing vaccinations. The hospital has not yet started, but hopefully they're committed as vaccines become available, they'll push it out. Currently, they're doing it at USC Upstate at the National Guard, the National Guard area up there. But hopefully we're going to see that pick up. I know one of the initiatives, Leroy Worthy reached out. He's the new president of the NAACP and mentioned, what are we doing to serve minority and underserved populations? So we had a good discussion with DHEC. They've secured a mobile van, I guess, mobile medical van, and we are in planning to have it basically go to the rural communities to really try to target citizens in those communities. I think our first stop is going to be Carlisle. I think we've already got about 20 people signed up, but we do plan to rotate it through each of those outlying municipalities, just to make sure everybody has, it's all about access. Everybody has an opportunity.
I would like to piggyback on that. I did do a request out on behalf of the Elder Belong Community Resource Center, the board, and offer up the parking lot as a location for the mobile vaccinations to occur. So we were working with Catherine Pendergrass to see if she could help arrange that through Regenesis. So, so another option for folks to come out and do that kind of mobile screening. So we know we got some work to do as far as getting a list together, because you got to have the things you need if you're trying to get vaccinated. They got to have your name, your birthday, whether or not you have been had COVID or not. So some key information, and then right now they're still waiting on whether or not it's 55 and up, right? Which recently came out with the South Carolina DA just announced that, and the government master announced it. Phase 1B, I believe it's now, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So it should be quite a few people signing up for that vaccine. We hope.
I think it is important. There's a lot of suspicion of people, and that's not even necessarily a racial issue. It happens on both sides of the fence. The sheriff mentioned that he's got a number of folks that are suspicious. It tends to be a little more prevalent in the minority community as well. People are kind of suspicious of that. So we need to, one of the things we talked about at the last meeting with Leroy was we really need our leaders, our community leaders, to get out and encourage their people, pastors, community leaders, that, you really do need to take the vaccine. It's for your benefit, it's to protect you, and the reward, the risk is outweighed by the reward by having that protection. So if people don't take advantage of it, they're putting themselves and their families and loved ones at risk. So we kind of need to keep hitting that as a group of leaders.
I just think a lot of people get bad information, whether it be over Facebook or whatever. They have horror stories, and they're like, well, I don't know if I want to take a chance on this, but if you, like I said, the risk and reward, is it worth it? You probably can take it. I was kind of hesitant, but I felt like that was best for the job I have and being in public and everything. It's best that I did take it. And like I said, everything went fine. I take my second shot on the 8th of March, and you just have to have faith in the people who came up with this, and they studied it and make sure that, they're not going to put something out there that's going to hurt you. So I just think we just need to get the bad information chain straightened out, and I believe we'll be a lot better off.
So Alex and I, we can monopolize the conversation. So we want to make sure TJ stays part of us.
They all do a
Get a
very good
chance
job.
to
Yeah.
I just want to say, I've noticed, and I commend you on the articles in the newspaper where showing compassion and just your care and trying with the families of the unsolved murders.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that in paper after paper. I've seen it in multiple volumes. There's a different unsolved murder each paper that comes out, and I haven't saw that before. It was kind of like forgotten about. It was thrown in the back, and I feel like for those families that probably means a lot.
Yeah. Well, it's, as I campaigned for this job, I made it clear to the people, if I tell you something, you can take it to the bank, I'm going to do what I tell you. And I made it clear that I thought that was something we need to focus on, because if you've never been a victim, you don't understand. You know, if you're a victim of a crime, then you know, you need some type of closure. And as long as these cases are unsolved, they don't have what they need to make them whole again. And you'll read the articles, just like in the Asheville case. Miss Angel said, you know, her health was, you know, going down due to the fact she's just, you know, worried about it, thinking about it all the time. And I actually contacted her and talked to her. I've contacted the majority of those people and let them know that, you know, this is not going to go untouched. We're on this thing daily. I mean, we do it daily. And, you know, we actually have a couple of older detectives, a new set of eyes that have come back on and are looking at these cases, and they're steady on that. But I want closure for the victims, because it's not about Jeff Baylor or the sheriff's office or Union County. It's about those victims feeling like that somebody's doing something for them. And that's always been important in my life as far as if that goes, make sure that those people are taken care of. You might not be able to solve all of them, but if we solve 2 of them, then we'll give some family some you know, end to this, and they can move on with their life. And that's what we got to do. And we need to work as a community to do that.
One thing you said when you was running to be sheriff, now congratulations, you are now sheriff, but that stuck out for me was a lot that you was saying that even if you did get a tip from somebody, you was not the type that's going to throw the person that gave you the tip up on the bus.
Right.
I was big on thinking that investigators do have to investigate. When a person can kind of give you a name of who they feel done it, and a lot of times you may know and hear who did it, but you just can't prove it. But it's a difference in a investigator just banking on somebody to come fill out a statement and say, well, he told me he did this or that. And when you already know who the victim is and you know who the suspect is, you got to just get out there and do your work and do your job. With all the cell phones and cameras now, I mean, it seems like you definitely don't want to put somebody under the bus.
That's right.
You said it, and I hope you stick about it.
Yeah, and that's what you have to do, because you got to depend on the community. You know, it's like I said in an interview today that I had, you know, we respond due to a 911 call. We get there and we see the aftermath, but there's somebody there usually who's seen something, you know, and you got to be able to relay that to us. That's how we're going to solve this and make your community safe. But also you got to realize that you're going to be safe yourself. You know, if you say something, and here's the difference that I feel like that we're going to make. I don't want to solve a crime in order to be reelected. You know, I don't want to be there and say, let's hurry up and arrest somebody and make this look good so I'll have the publicity and I'll feel good about it. That's not the way I want to do it. I want to do it the right way. You know, I want the community to trust what we're doing, help us with information. We will take that information and not just run and say, okay, we solved it real easy. Now we're going to work backwards and try to tie that into what we know without giving up that person. Because you can't expose people. People don't want to put their lives in danger to make the sheriff's office look good or me look good. And you can't do that. That's why you have to be careful what you do, and you have to follow certain steps in order to work backwards and work into whatever the crime is. And that makes those people, and it's going to take a few times that we're going to have to do this. We've got to prove ourselves. We can't just be, you know, we're the sheriff's office and now we've got to change and we just don't accept that. We've got to prove ourselves, and that's what I'm telling these officers every day. We have to prove ourselves. You need to be in the community, you need to make relationships, and have that with people, and people will trust you. If you gain the trust of the people, then that's when you'll start moving forward. And this county needs to move forward and get that help out of the community so we can make it a safer place to live.
How do you build the trust with the community? Because of course, when you see a lot of things online and social media, a lot of people don't have faith in the justice system and are afraid to come in contact with police officers, especially from the black community, because a lot of times in the eyes of law enforcement, it almost feels as like the African American community is guilty until proven innocent. So how do you improve that relationship with the community when it's like the things that we see online, and it's kind of hard to kind of have that trust with law enforcement?
Well, the first thing you have to do is, like I said, you have to have a leader. Just say, I'm the leader, I'm the leader of the sheriff's office. They've got the people trust me. And once they trust me and they know that I'm going to do the right thing, I'm going to hold people accountable for their actions. And that's where you've got to start. You've got to have your department being held accountable. And once you do that, it's not going to get fixed overnight. But if you see progress monthly or every 6 months, you say, well, yep, he did what he said, or are they doing the right thing, you know? If we're wrong, we take credit for it. We're accountable. And you hold everybody accountable for their actions. The public hold them accountable, you hold the sheriff's office accountable, you hold me accountable. I'm no different than a deputy or an investigator. If I'm wrong, I need to be held accountable. So that's where you come from. But when people see that they can trust in what you say, and I promise you, if I tell you something, you can take it to the bank. If I tell you I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. Okay? There's no flip-flopping and backing out, or because I'm not running the sheriff's office, and I told Frank and county council this from the very first meeting I went to in Buffalo. I'm not running the sheriff's office to get reelected. I'm running it for the people. I'm running it the right way, and if I do my job and people are happy, then I'll be reelected. And that's the way I look at it. So if I'm not doing it for my personal gain. So therefore, I am out there for the people working, and I want to do it the right way, and I want to build a team and have the community so involved in this thing that we're just a fine oil machine. We're moving forward, and we can accomplish a lot of stuff. We don't have to be like the nation and have things go bad in the nation. We can be Union County, and we can do it the right way and prove that it can be done. And that's my whole goal. Working with whoever I have to work with to make it right.
It's all about communication too. I think when you look at when these things blow up around the country, it's because there's become a situation where there are issues that are going on. There's folks who can work to resolve those issues, and that communication line has fallen, it's just broken between the two. So in Union, it's important that when there are issues that we got a relationship, we're at a level where we can get together and talk about it. When there's allegations, whether it's a sheriff's deputy, it's a county employee, we have an obligation to look into it, Hopefully it's not true, right? But we have to go into it objectively, and when that comes up, we have to dig, and hopefully sometimes there's problems, sometimes there's not problems. I've had it both ways, but when there are problems, we have to deal with it, right? Otherwise, you'll lose confidence of the whole community.
You have to step up and say, I was wrong, or we were wrong.
Yeah.
You can't just hide behind something
Brush it, cover it.
let's just we'll just act like this didn't happen.
And you got both sides.
Yeah. You got to step up and say, if TJ's wrong, then TJ says he's wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm saying just be man enough to take responsibility for your actions. And because you're gonna make mistakes. If you don't make mistakes, you're not human. So you're gonna make mistakes, but if you make the same mistake over again, you're not trying. That's the way I look at it.
So guys, I want to reframe the initial question where we start off with what you said about the unsolved murders, right? So majority of them, if we did like a plot chart, we could probably find them in a particular district, right? We don't have to say the district around here. Based off the cash incentives that have been put in place, I just want to communicate these factors here so that we can, this is a strategic question, all right? Just so we can just spitball here. Based off the cash incentives that have been put in place to help to bring people forward in the community, from the families, the advertising, knowing that the community, there's a gap in between that communication there between local law enforcement, community leaders, and the citizens of that community we're speaking of. We're kind of standing at a sword with two ends there. Cash isn't working during the pandemic. We aren't communicating. Where's our real problem here? Is it a trust problem? Is it an accountability problem?
Are you talking about standing?
No, I'm talking about all around. I'm talking about,
Unsolved crimes in certain
What's the
communities.
underlying
Why are we unable to make progress? Is that kind of?
that's my whole point here. Why can't we
It's not cash. It's nothing about cash. It's about trust. And there's been several instances where, I don't know, this is your thing, but I'm gonna jump in here and say, but where just like you said, people are there saw what happened. They know there's people right now that know what happened in the majority of those cases, but for whatever reason, whether they're scared, they're indifferent and unwilling, they're some level participatory or condonant, or they don't trust the law enforcement folks to share the information. Until we can overcome that, but that requires, there's no quick fix on that. That's going into the community, that's making contacts, that's getting to know people, like you mentioned community policing when you were advertising, building those relationships so when you walk through the community and something's going on, you'll go up to that guy and say, hey, you need to check out so-and-so here, something don't look right, you know, and you got that level. We don't have that unfortunately right now.
I think the more response I was looking for would have been, one, how do we bridge the gap between leadership in the community here? And based off, I live in District 5, right? We have all these murders unsolved. I haven't seen a councilman send a letter to me once, you know. And the reason why I want to voice it because I got their boss here per se, right? And I want to voice that, like, you know, I'm in my community. I have an alteration shop here in town as well, you know, doing whatever I can to help mentor children. But yet, I still feel that I'm just a number instead of an individual here based off District 5, and other districts may feel that way as well. Now, you mentioned that the police officers need to get out here and communicate more with the citizens and everything, and I can see you guys are doing that.
Where are the other council people?
Yeah.
Where are they at? We always see you guys, but where's the other council members? And I know that's not something you can necessarily answer, but it is definitely apparent.
I mean, ideally, council
That we don't
members
see
would be
that.
out in the, right, that's the purpose of a council member representing a district,
People
is to get out
represent the
there,
district.
hear what's going on in the district, and then bring that information back for the full council. So, yeah, that's something that should be happening.
Yeah, because they're not having town halls. They're not doing the things that I think maybe we would
Right.
expect a council member to do. And maybe, you know,
No, I
it's kind of the bare minimum, right? You'd expect
Right, you know,
your
I would have thought I would
district
have got a letter or something, or someone coming knocking on the door, you know, I hate to say, you know, to make comparisons of them and me, right, but you know what I'm saying, you're responsible for that particular district, you're the voice of that community, you
That's
He's
know.
talking about the typical council member that you have.
No, just in general,
In
in all, you know, I'm not sure of everybody's behaviors, I can only speak of my district here. I just felt like, you know, how do you hear us if no one's asking?
Right.
And
I
the
can't,
thing
I
about the
can't
county-
always be the county supervisor.
Yeah. that's
It's the
what-
county, see what ended up happening is what I see with Lindsey Graham, you know, being a state senator. Lindsey Graham, even Ralph Norman, he's supposed to represent his citizens, all of them, you know, not just particular ones that go, no matter who you are, as a county council member, you should represent your district. And your district, and when you put all the districts together, like you said, it's gonna bring Union County as a whole. And then they should give the people what their need and what they want instead of just so much of what it is I want, you know, and go. And that's what things like this talk show,
Yeah.
you know, just talking to them, let them know that, hey, look, we're paying attention, we're watching. Even with Little League Baseball, the reason why I done that was the fact that now I can get the sheriff to come and see these children at a young age, and then you realize, hey, look, they're human, you know. Now they're playing ball together. The sheriff hopefully can be at the opening day ceremony, and he sees this child, he sees their parent, and then now when it's time to be elected, he look at us, we know we're comfortable, we trust him, and that type thing. You know, it takes questions like you're asking.
Right, yeah, and that
I think those guys need to, you're right, they need to be more proactive and reach out, but also folks in the community that are willing, we talk about people stepping up, getting involved. You know, communication's a two-way thing. You call your council member and say, listen.
I can call Brent, I call him right now, you know, talk to him.
And Lindsay's good, but I mean, there's some federal work, when you start talking about local, you call particularly you're in the city, I presume, right? So I'd get your city and your county guy and say, hey guys, can we get together and talk about, I know Councilman Hill represents your district, so there's some initiatives, and y'all may not even be aware that he wants to do. He wants recreation in that district. We're talking to the school district about taking the original Sims location and trying to convert that into recreation, because there's nothing to do there, right? I mean, there's nowhere for you to go. So to try to clean that up. So he has some ideas, but yeah, I would say, you know, those guys need to get out more, but also y'all reach out and engage. Use them, you know.
So this is because we can talk now. Let's talk sports. Let's talk a little sports. You guys are the general managers, right? You have the Patriots, you have the Eagles, right? I don't know what teams you are.
Those are both horrible choices.
But you know, based off the players that you have on your roster, can you make a change? Can you drive us to where we need to be? Can we score? Based off the players that you have, do we need to make changes? Do we need to recruit new players? Do we
You
need
have an
to?
A team?
I think this always part of, on any team, right, you know, you talk about a standard, the little normal curve of distribution, you always got superstars, you always got people who are on the other end, you got a lot of people in the middle. So we have that too at the county. I think if you look over the years since I've been with the county, you've seen some changes. Some people kind of come and go, and it's debated, and Jeff will be doing the same thing, I'm sure, right? You know, some people may have already come and gone. I'm not sure where you're at, but I mean, you're constantly doing that, right? And you're trying to cultivate the right people, and you're trying to get the most you can out of everybody. So I think we really do have good people. You know, by and large, there's always some room for improvement. There's always some performance plans you want to talk about, but the biggest challenge we got in union, guys, and I've been in this job now for, feels like a couple of decades, but I mean, I've been county supervisor for, I guess, 7.5 years, right? 6.5 years. So 2 years on council before that. Our biggest challenge in union is that we're not really united a lot of times. We're very siloed. There's a lot of turf. There's a lot, what's in it for me, you know? And, you know, challenging to trying to get people to come together to work for the good. And when we do things good and we got a win, you got to celebrate it, you know, as a community. You got to be willing to acknowledge that. You know, we've announced industry before. I remember when we did the Stomp expansion, it was large, several $100 million jobs, you know, somebody's like, well, we don't have a restaurant, you know. Okay, I get it.
You're always gonna have that.
That's a big thing. We have to recognize that and be willing to work together. We spend a lot of time, we're too small, we're too poor, and we're too rural to be pushing against each other. We gotta do the things that's right for all of us, not right for me, not right for you, or Jack or Jill. It's gotta be what's best, you know, for the community, so.
Do you think that, you know, a lot of the folks that you know, the sentiment is that Union County is very negative, right?
It is negative.
It's
There's a lot of
very
negativity.
A lot of negativity, and to TJ and Stacy's credit, they created this forum for us to be positive. So like, what are the wins? What are the things that have been like the positives in your mind that have moved us forward, you know, in both cases, for both of you?
So, yeah, I'll let you think, because you're new, he's got some stuff, I'm sure he's got some wins, but he's been here for, what, 2 months now?
2 months.
But, you know, if you look back, some of the stuff that I think we've done that's really benefited the community that we ought to celebrate, we brought a Spartanburg Community College campus to Union. We worked with private industry to fund a mechatronics program to train kids, so those that aren't going to go just to, you know, college and get a 4-year degree or 2-year can actually get a trade. That supports our manufacturing sector. That helps us grow from an economic development perspective. We recruited, worked with the delegation, twisted, pushed, begged, you know, borrowed and bit to get a nursing college here. That was a big deal, you know, to get an agreement from another 4-year institution that's running a nursing program and working out the clinicals and all that kind of stuff to bring that to you know. So we now have that. That's something we've been talking about for 15, 20 years. You know, USC Union was really almost dead on life support, but it's now one of the major drivers of economic development. We should be celebrating that. We put a system in place where any kid that finishes school in Union County can go to USC Union or SCC and Union tuition free. You know, that's funded by your tax dollars. It doesn't cost us a lot of money because a lot of our kids qualify for Pell Grants and, you know, a lot of aid, but it's aspirational. It says if you want to go, you can go. We still don't have kids taking advantage of that. You know, when we graduate our seniors, about 40%, about 80 kids are not really doing that. We need to, as a community, think there's something wrong there, right? Culturally, what we're telling kids to value, that kind of stuff. We need mentors to help us work through that. A lot of rural counties in South Carolina lost their hospital system. You know, people take that for granted. Y'all realize there's a number of rural counties right now that do not have a hospital. They may have a little urgent care, but if you get in the ambulance, you got to ride to another county. We worked a deal with Spartanburg Regional, put several $1 million into that deal to make it happen, got them to come in and take over. You know, a lot of people have said, from a negative standpoint, we don't have a new hospital yet, even though they built, you know, property up on the highway. We're no longer bleeding $1.5 million a month, you know, and accruing debt. Spartanburg Regional's taking that over and working to make it more efficient. That's a positive. They're working on a plan for a new school. We've recruited a lot of jobs. We've done a lot of infrastructure work, Highway 49, you know, but portions of 176, 500 or 600 county roads, portions of 72. Folks will, you know, say, well, the roads are bad. Yeah, the roads are bad, right? But it took us 2 or 3 decades to get them bad. It'll take us probably 10 or 15 years to dig out of it. But I think there's been a lot of progress. You know, we're starting economic development on Main Street. We're offering some grants for specific targeted businesses that we need restaurants to support the college effort. So we're starting to see some activity there. I met with a developer the other day that's looking to do more type of Applebee's type, but not Applebee's, but that kind of a concept on Main Street. So there's a lot of activity, you know, there's been a lot of progress, but there's a whole lot more to be done, right? There's a lot of work to be done, but there's a lot of stuff to celebrate too. You know?
So I mean, I'll jump in and then I'll get your response. I'm in real estate. We're a USDA area here. What is our plan to expand our housing infrastructure? Because we kind of have a shortage right now. I mean, once you start having a problem, you know, people wait to get into apartments, and it's like, okay, where do they turn? They leave.
Right.
You know, so what is our plan?
So you're a real estate agent?
I am.
Yeah, okay, so big, as you know, big need for single family housing in
Right.
particular right now. So we've met with I've probably met with a half a dozen developers over the last 8 months. We don't have what I would consider a formal subdivision development union, right? We got a lot of 20 and 25-year-old product that's been out there. We don't have anything new, so we are very close. We're looking at public-private partnership to bring in a company to do, 100 to 200 housing, which will just completely kind of change the look in Union, because right now there is no stock, right? So if companies come in and their employees want to live here, a lot of people don't want to do a fixer-upper. You don't want to go buy something and do the renovation. You want to use. So we're looking at, basically a housing development close to the city of Union, because we need that infrastructure. We need sewer for lot sizes, but we want amenities. We want stick built, and trying to look at, somewhere from the $180,000 to $220,000 range, which is kind of what our housing feasibility study says is a sweet spot right now.
Yeah.
3-bedroom, 2-bath.
What's our timeline? I know I'm going to ask a little.
So it's of course, there's some confidentiality there. I cannot disclose who we're
But it sounds good.
we're very close to getting some ink on some paper.
Okay.
So I'm excited about that. As a real estate agent, that's going to give you some product.
Well, hey, it's not, let's talk about the people. Yeah.
Right.
But no, that's great, guys. And no, that was just really one of my major concerns here. Our community, we put people in the houses, they stay for 30 years.
That's right.
So I mean, that's money in the city. The city's performing well, and we can continue to expand and grow our infrastructure and become the real pearl of the Upstate like we should be, right?
That's right. And it's a multi-pronged approach. We want the stick built with the amenities. We're also talking to some folks for modular in a different area that's still nice, but it's a different price point, maybe the 150 level. So our goal is to try to have market value workforce housing that supports not only the community, but all these amenities that everybody wants. It's all about rooftops, right? I mean, rooftops you got, what's the community patterns, and so hopefully as this happens, we'll start to get some of those other amenities that we're looking for.
That's good to see that you're working that way. I like that. That's good.
And I honestly, in my opinion, that would be a plus on our end, because speaking from the youth or the younger, generation, a lot of them do leave. They do leave Union. A lot of the younger generation feel we're behind, or we're lagging and we haven't caught up. So I feel if we can build in the housing department, because if you go to some of these other cities, some of these other counties, a lot of their older houses, they kind of hide them. They put the newer houses where you can
That's
see
front and center.
Yeah, front and center. And, with us, we don't have a lot of that, so it'll help out. It'll help appearance-wise. It'll help as far as, like he said, it's a lot of young families looking to buy houses. I know a few, and they don't want to fix it up, or they want a nice, newer home.
Modern,
Modern home.
So we was in Rocky Hill not too long ago, was riding out, and we turned off and went down some back road. We saw a lot of houses just like Union have, but it was off in the cut. You would never knew it was there. When you go down Main Street or Rocky Hill and Gaffney, places like, you don't see that. When you go through Union, it's right there in your face.
So,
especially in the city area,
So what makes Spartanburg, Greenville, those counties different in housing with us? They have DPA programs. We know that based on
What's a DPA?
down payment assistance program, right?
okay.
Right. So with the down payment assistance program, the city or county vouchers to say, hey, first come, first served basis. we can give you up to $5,000, up to $5,000 on your closing costs, right? So it's an incentive to make our citizens stay here and buy locally, right? Because, I mean, we're not based off the data that I saw, like our average income, what is it, around like, what, 40s, 50,000 per household?
It's lower, it's certainly
Lower
lower than
than that.
surrounding counties, yeah, I don't have that number, but it's low.
Right, so when you, it's almost kind of like a, what do they say, like,
It's a barrier to entry
right,
for someone trying to buy their first home, because they can't come up with a down payment right out the gate.
Hey, isn't FHA, you know this better than I do, but isn't FHA now pretty,
15 grand.
3.5% down.
3.5, and is it still 3.5 down payment you have to do?
Yeah,
Okay.
3.5%. So what I was saying is, it's an opportunity to recruit as well. If we offered that, we could pull other citizens from other surrounding counties, because we do have nice things here. We do have that exclusive in our county. You offer the down payment assistance program. It's an incentive for people that are renting to now pay taxes that go to the city, ultimately growing our capital and our revenue to improve our community, right? So we kind of have to give them a helping hand, right? Would that be something that, our council would
I
look
think
at?
it's good to look at. The only thing we have to be careful is, through the whole housing deal, you follow Fannie and Freddie and all that kind of
Right.
stuff. It got, this is gonna sound weird, but it got so easy to borrow money that we had a situation where people were buying homes that weren't ready to buy homes.
Oh, yeah, that's
Right,
that loan.
there's no down payment, and you go in the home, and the interest rate's
Yeah,
low.
yeah,
And what you're
right.
doing is you're setting people up for failure.
Yes,
And
you
we're
are.
talking about the one that had the balloon rates, you get it for such now.
There was some of that variable with the thing, but I mean, the down payments were so low, or zero down payments. There's just a lot of people that went and bought homes that they really weren't ready yet financially to be able to do it. So I do like for
Was
people
that
to have
part of the predatory lending though?
That was
It
also part of
it was
that.
part of that, but also the down payment was so low, they enticed folks to come and buy
Right.
homes that weren't ready to buy. And so
Right.
I do think folks need a little skin in the game. If you're gonna buy a home, and let's just say it's $200,000 and you gotta put down 3.5% selling,
So,
you really need to be in a position with the discipline to start saving some money to be able to do a down payment, because when you buy a home, it's not just like renting anymore, right? Because I got a few houses I rent. If the toilet stops up, that's Frank Hart, whatever, I'm the maintenance man.
Right.
But when you own a home, it's not just the payment, the insurance and all that kind of stuff, you got all the maintenance that goes along with it. So people need a little skin in it, because you don't want to set them up where it's so easy to come in and get something that in 3 or 4 years we were all through a
And
foreclosure.
we talked about the lack of financial literacy.
That's what I'm, you know I was going with that.
Life skills, right? So-
Yeah.
We teach kids everything else, but actually how to live and survive in the world.
And that goes back to the school.
It goes back to the education piece. So I did want to make sure we touch Sheriff Bailey on his quick wins. What do you think you've seen has been the positives that have happened in the past 2 months since you've been the sheriff?
I think that the positives are the relationships that we have repaired with different agencies, different groups. Letting them know, and it all comes from being involved. And I've tried to actively be involved as much as I can, and have have the sheriff's office employees, to have them involved and doing positive things, and let people know their actions are noticed by people, and just keep that in mind. You actually represent myself and the department when you're out there, and mending those bridges and making things better, because you can have nice houses and all this to live in, but first thing we got to do, and we're working real close with the school system too, our schools have to be top notch. If our schools are productive, and then we have housing, like y'all talked about, and then you have law enforcement that can handle the situation that we have and get our crime rates down, that influences people coming, because people want to know when they come into Union County, what's the crime rate? How's the education system? What's the housing market? Well, see, that's where there's a lot of people that need to pitch in and help. It's not just one sector that can fix everything. I've got to do my part. Frank will do his part, and then the community will do their part. But until we all work as one, it's not going to happen. You can make all the plans in the world, but until we get to where I've got a commitment with Tamika that I'm going to help her with her projects, and she's going to help me with mine, and Frank will do the same thing. you know, as long as we're at odds and we're just trying to worry about individual efforts, there's your problem. It's got to be a team effort, and I think that's where we've come. And like I said, Frank and myself, we have had several meetings, and we've actually covered a lot of different topics, and it's all been positive. But it's not a quick fix. He can't just go home and click a button and he fixes his part. I can't click a button and fix mine. But it's just going to take time, and it's going to take the effort of a lot of people to work toward that common goal. And the whole goal of mine is to make Union County a better place to live for people. And if I do my part and I can get everybody else to, you know, help me and I'll help them, then we can do it. I mean, it's there. I mean, we can do it.
It's sort of like on two things I like to just get one of our churches, for instance. We have 1 million churches, you know, in Union seems like. And it's like they all seek to do their own thing. And when they come together and say, look, we need to do the betterment for the people, we can get somewhere. And then even the housing, we all talked about on this, for schools. Okay, a literacy program. Okay, we have a community we call, and I'm gonna just say this, I got to, right? You have what you call Chambertown. There's no town whatsoever, but it's been set up for years for them to get money, go spend money all outside of town, you know. But until we go into our school system and change what we teach, and we all come together as a people, do like, you know, Spartanburg did it. They went down and they just said, look, we're going to do away with places like that. And those people, most of them qualify for home ownership. But you got to teach them. You know, you're getting a $10,000, you know, a year income tax. Now you got stimulus, that was another 10 grand. But yet, where does it go? It feeds the little neighboring stores. You know, like, we want you to think you're a town, but you're not a town. You know, but when we as a county can fix those problems and look out for everybody, and like I said, it starts with the school, you know, what you're teaching them. You know, how the teachers feel. I had teachers that taught me in elementary. Now I look back at their Facebook page and I see who they really are. I'm like, you was my teacher for 15 years. You know, I mean, you was a teacher for 15 years teaching a lot of kids, but this is how you feel about the children that you was teaching. You know, and it's that type of thing that we have, not just in Union, but nationwide. But we talking about Union. Like you said, why can't we, as a union, fix Union? And that's some of the things that we have to do. We're gonna have to hire the right teachers, make sure they got the best interest, and then when it comes to the county, we got to make sure they're just not supplying the jail. You know, not just, you know, I had a cousin that was in jail. That guy called me for so much money. I'm like, you in jail. They're going to give you 3 houses in the car. What are you doing with all of the money? Yeah. You know, like, come on, cuz, you call me every day, you want money. It's like a well to where I had to cut him off. Seemed like as soon as I cut him off, he got out of jail. And I'm like, I told him, as long as you keep spending money up there in that jail, you're going to stay there, you know. But I'm just being real, I'm being honest, you know. I got to be who I am, cause, you know, but it's those type of things that we're going to have to do as a county so we can improve. So like what Alex was talking about, you know, we have to start with the education system, make sure that they're learning at the high school, make sure the teachers teaching the program, the vocabulary, the vocational sector up there. I'm glad, like you said, you got Spartanburg Tech. Tell me, you know, they got the mechatronics.
SCC.
Spartanburg Community College. See, I'm old school at Spartanburg Tech. As a matter of fact, I started there. And then you have the USC Union, which is good. So we can just kind of build off that.
Yeah, no, completely agree. I completely agree. Look, guys, grew up here in Union, born and raised, right? Came back, been all around the country. Why did I come back? Because we have something unique here. The name of our town is Union, but we are not unified. How ironic is that, right? Yeah. You know, so I agree with the division that's in place. We do have some infrastructure improvements that we need to make. We have the right personnel, and we continue to recruit the right personnel to do these jobs. We struggle with changing our culture and our mindset. We've created new media outlets to start talking about this, such as Union This Time We Talk, and we have leaders that are in place that are wanting to come on and engage and voice that. Now, people may have a completely different view now of you two guys. Just like when they saw us on the show, what do they thought we was coming off? We coming to bash people? Nothing. No, we're coming to establish a dialogue, to open communication, to bridge those gaps, right? To ultimately benefit Union, because it's time we had this talk, and that's what we're doing now, right? So,
Right.
you know, I know Carlos had a couple questions that he wanted to ask. You know?
One of my questions is like, what do you two gentlemen, because you two are definitely leaders in our community, but what do you feel like you gentlemen personally need to do to kind of like, because a lot of people do follow what you say and they believe in you, you gentlemen have a lot of power right now in this community. What do you feel like you need to do to, you know, to kind of like rally and make it one again?
You know,
Yeah, it's like I said, I need to be seen more. I need to be involved in a lot of different, as much as you can. You know, trust me, you got to have a family life too.
Right.
You know, you got to be able to separate your job from your family. You know, you got to have that family time. So, you know, the job I have and he has will consume your whole world, your whole life. And so you have to cut that time out for your family and for worship and what we do. But the time that you have, you need to spend it doing the things and being seen, you know, like Little League. I was always involved in Little League and work with kids and programs like that. So the more that I can be out there, and I encourage people that work with the sheriff's office to be out there, be seen in social media in a positive light, not negative, then that's going to help move forward to, it's all about leadership. You know, we can sit here and come up with all the answers in the world tonight, but until the leaders of Union County and the community and such as Frank and myself, until we step up and we decide we're going to do the right thing and we're going to stand on our morals and our principles and do the right thing, then we're still going to get kickback. So until you decide you're going to do that, and that's where I feel like I'm at with what I do. I'm going to be honest with you. If it's not right, I'll tell you it's not right. But that's communication. If it's not right, I'll tell you, and then you tell me what you think. But that's how we fix it. We can't fix it by me just saying, well, I don't like what Alex thinks, and he don't like what I think, so we just ain't gonna talk. Well, you're not getting anywhere. So tell me, if you got an issue, you've got to bring it to me. I cannot address it unless I have it in front of me. So, and I'm willing to do that. I will confront any problems, talk about anything. I don't mind doing that. I want at the end of this, you know, just say, you know, 8, 12, 20 years from now, I want Union to be a whole lot better place, because we've always been known for negative and negative things that go on. And that's part of my job, and part of Frank's job is to stay out of the newspaper with the negative. And it's like I told the night of the election, I told the lady from Channel 7. You know, she interviewed me, she asked me a couple of questions, they said, no. I said, let me ask you a question. And it was really just caught her off guard. I said, so you want to always come down here and you want to report everything bad that happens in Union County. Why don't you come report the good stuff? So if you want to talk to me about the bad, you got to come do the good. And so that's when, you know, they came and did the ice cream deal that we had started. They came down and covered that. You know, Channel 7 did. They're coming Thursday for a kid up at, you know, at Jonesville who saved his autistic brother. You know, they're coming here to cover that. So those are the things that we have to do. We have to let kids know there's positive out there, and we're working with them. And we need to let the adults know, teenagers, we need to let everybody in Union County know that you can trust us. And you can trust what we're doing as leaders, as y'all are leaders, as I'm a leader, as Frank, until the people trust us, then we're not going anywhere. But if they trust us, we can move mountains.
There you go, I like it.
Well, before you answer, J. Rock Smith says, Kelton has low crime rate, build us a community center, exclamation point.
And I have a quick question. As far as how you, Sheriff Bailey, how you said you've built that bridge with the other agencies, I think a lot of people don't really understand how important that is, because with law enforcement, you have to build a bridge with mental health. You have to build that bridge with the DSS, with the children. It's multiple, you know, DJJ, you have all these other agencies around here that you have to build that bridge with, and I know that Union has been known to have a drug problem here, you know, and we talked about it, I think, before, where we were like, you know, when we grew up, we had the DARE program and all of that, like, and you have your SRO officers, your school resource officers, can you kind of implement the drug education in school? Because a lot of it starts in school, a lot of it starts at home. And if you could put a gap on it a little bit, maybe in school, maybe that, help a little bit with the drug problem. And there's a drug problem, there's a mental health problem with our youth that we don't really face.
Right.
And I just wonder how, is there any way we could, the community, law enforcement, where can we fix that?
The SROs, they have a captured audience, that, with the kids. They can spend time with them and gain the respect of those kids, especially our younger kids. And I've visited the schools, and I've still got some that I've got to visit, but I've actually seen the SROs at work, and they're doing a good job, because I told them, I said, you need to have relationships with those kids, because they can give you information that might prevent a school shooting or prevent something from going on, because if they trust you, they'll tell you. So, build that relationship with those kids and educate them on, don't just walk around and just talk to them. They've got times at the school where they can actually go in and teach classes. And I'm actually 3 days in the next week or so, I'm going to be at Monarch along with Captain Wright, and we're going to be talking to these kids about drugs and just staying on the right path. I spoke to the soccer team at Union High School the other day, the JV and varsity soccer team. I love to speak. I want to be invited to speak to these kids, because that's a platform that we need to take advantage of, all of us. We need to get the word out to them. But then what we've got to understand too is the drug problem that we have in Union, you're not going to completely eradicate that drug problem. But at this point in time, and this is something that we discussed today at a meeting, right now you have to look at risk and reward. The risk is so low compared to the reward of dealing with drugs, So that's it's killing our young people. It is there's people out there that's just zombies, and it's because it's not that they weren't educated, but number one, the parents probably didn't try to tell them. It starts at home. The parents have got to take responsibility and let their kids know this is not a good path. You got to be involved in your church along with your SROs, but the community's got to be ready. If we're going to stop this drug problem, it can't just be a couple of narcotics agents going to stop the whole problem. It's going to take the community getting fed up and saying you're killing our youth. You're killing the future of this country. And when they get fed up and they say, okay, let's all work together. Here we go. We got to work together again. Bring it all together. We can stop a lot of it. But Union County has been on an island for a long time. We've been on an island when it comes to accepting help from other people. Don't give me your cell phone number and tell me you'll help me if you don't want me to call you. Because I'm going to call you. I'm going to take every asset, every resource I can to fight the drug problem, to fight crime, property theft, anything that we can do. I don't mind asking anybody for help. And that's what we're going to do. But I need the help of the community. When the community will step up and will help, we can stop a lot of the problems we got here. And once we do that, it'll move right on into stuff that Frank can handle. As
We've
far
got
as
3 officers right now in narcotics between the city and the county, right?
right.
3 total. So that's not a lot of guys, right, to cover. So it does take the whole community. When you look at, we kind of revamped drug and alcohol. That's an agency where we get federal and state funding to provide treatment and prevention. We have a great prevention coordinator. She's done very good going out and getting grants. We just started a strengthening family program. We're having a hard time finding people to come in and mentor and work with those people. So it's going to take, people are going to have to step up, and it's going to have to be important to the community. 3 guys and you are not going to fix the drug problem in Union County. I mean, it's just not going to work.
What's the qualification of those people that you're talking about needing for us to help them with that drug problem?
Probably, I think it requires a background check, but I can put you in. Mary Tolson is the director for that. I can put you in contact with her, and she can work you through that. But we'd love to have some people that are willing to help with that.
And that led me to another question, and that's for everybody. How can we as a community leaders, how can we recruit more mentors, more community leaders, civil community leaders? My husband, he goes above and beyond, and I'm right behind him, trying to mentor be a community leader, help out any way we can, but we don't see a whole lot of other people.
And sometimes you
doing the
feel
same.
like, it's kinda like church, right? 20% of people do 80% of the work. It's kinda like, how do you inspire people to step up? Because
Yeah.
one family, like you said, family time, there's a limit, right, as to what you can do. So, but if everybody comes in and does a little bit of lifting, we don't really kill anybody. So that's what it's gonna take. And I'm not sure how you get people to step up. You know, I talk to probably, I don't know, I probably field 20 calls a day, okay? Just from citizens about various issues. Folks are very quick to point out a problem. They'll call you, they'll call him in a heartbeat. We all know what problems are, right? We got drug prone in it, yeah. We have, do we have rundown dilapidated properties we need to clean up? Yeah. Do we need more quality stuff? Yeah. But nobody ever really calls with a solution or wants to help to do anything. You know, you point out problems, that's easy. We can sit here and make a list tonight till midnight, right? But finding that, we had a discussion today, like Jeff said, risk versus reward with drugs. We have a problem with the criminal justice system, you know, because it's slow, it's inefficient. We got 30 people sitting in jail, which is half of our capacity, that aren't eligible to be bonded out, that we're not getting through court, you know, because of COVID and just some of the inefficiencies with court. So those are hard problems. We had a discussion on mental health the other week. You know, the hospital's getting backlogged because everybody picks up these folks who often are on drugs, and they, you know, that is a behavioral issue. They kind of get dumped at the ER. Well, when they're handling them, your family member has a heart attack, they're tied up, right? So because you only have so many people. So I haven't found a lot of these things to be easy fixes. It's just hard stuff, and it's going to take everybody putting their brain power together and working.
Do you guys be willing to, because we talked about communication, and I think what happens is the word and the information is just not everybody. So, you know, Alex talked about the mediums, you know, we got the podcast, we have Union County News, we got Channel 7,
WBCU.
we got WBCU. Information still is not getting to the bulk of the population about some of the things that are good that are happening. So I guess my challenge to you, or my ask to you, is within the platform that you have, maybe it's Facebook, you know, whatever it is, maybe every week or something, give the quick wins or something that people can latch on to. Because you don't have a public affairs person, right, in the county.
We don't have.
So you don't have that voice that's talking about, hey, these are all the good things that are going on in the county. And even though there are a lot of great things going on, it's not a cohesive message. So, and I say that with my military hat on, because every single unit that we have at a certain level has a public affairs team. So the messaging goes out, you know, the way that it should. So I would ask you, and even the council members, tell me, what are the 3 things that have gone well for this week or this month or whatever? Now, it probably needs to be a weekly update. So a message from council member, message from the sheriff, message from the county supervisor. And then I'm looking for that now. I'm looking for, hey, I didn't even know this was going on. You know what I mean?
I tell you, I love, because you're exactly right, the normal channels, right, they don't work that well. I mean, there's a certain segment of folks that work, but I just found there's a lot of people that don't pay attention to social media or radio or newspaper or whatever else. So I would love to have, and I think it would benefit the sheriff, you know, if we had, even if it were 100 people, you know, in Union County, spread throughout the county in the different communities and churches that were part of, you know, we don't have a PR team, as you said, but if we had folks who were willing to take that information and then go out and kind of be an ambassador in the community and say what's going on, that would be very helpful to me. And then also to feed information back.
So you say union ambassador. I think I mentioned this at a meeting one time. I said, we don't have any ambassadors.
Right.
Can we get some t-shirts made, union ambassador?
I'll get the t-shirt, if you get the people
people,
up.
and then people wear them, and then they, you know, maybe the area of expertise that they have, maybe it's drugs, maybe it's whatever. I'm a union ambassador, and if you have a question about drugs, come to me. I'll help you. And then now I got a person that I can see walking around. Oh, I got a question about this. So now
I would love to have that.
physical
If just
person.
what they said a minute ago, if we could find the people There's a lot of people take a shirt, right? If you say, I'm
But
gonna wear
but
shirts.
they need to be credentialed or they have some
And
sort
they need
of.
to be willing
Willingness
to
to
actually
do.
do their part and be an ambassador in the
Right,
community
and
and
then
help
they could
people.
be deputy ambassadors, or, you know, whatever it is that you think we need in the community, sports ambassador, you know, recreational ambassador, you know, all the stuff that people say are problems.
Right.
Well, here are all the people that are concerned about this particular thing. And then if you had a big meeting and everybody wears their shirt and everything that you're concerned about, okay, if you're on the drug team, we need you to go over here. We could do that at the fairgrounds.
So we
If
could-
you're on the housing team, go over here. So now we're starting to fix problems. Because this is your top concern. But it's not always the same people talking about it. Now we need you to do something about it. And coming out of that group, and I think it would really show a difference in the community. I got my T-shirt. This is what my primary concern. I'm showing up to that meeting. You know,
Mhm.
it's a way to get
I
out.
think that's a great concept.
We did that with Milligan. He would just ask, when I worked for Milligan a long time, he would just give you a little sticker and you would put it on how many days you went without even a little accident. So like you said, as an ambassador, not so much of the negative stuff, just tell what the good. We had 0 homicides this week. Now people looking like, hey, put them guns down. We ain't trying to help. We ain't trying to make news again. You know, on the positive type. You know, we had the domestic violence cases went down. The drug overdoses went down this week, and people started paying attention. And good.
I
I like
step
that.
up though, you know, when the negativity is on Facebook, I can't tell you how many people will come to, because I don't look at Facebook a lot, right? But they'll come to me and say, you don't even believe what they're talking about on Facebook. Here's what they said, here's what they said. And I just started looking at people and saying, well, did you say anything about it? Did you correct it? All right, they'll turn around and run the other direction.
There you
But we
go.
gotta kind of step up as a community and not just let people just run up, because you mentioned a minute ago, folks, or one of you guys did, folks see this stuff when they're looking at the community. We gotta step up, we gotta take a little pride in our community, and we gotta be willing to tell the truth. So many people just, I don't wanna get involved, I wanna cruise under the radar.
I know, like Tamika was saying something about a PR team. Is it possible to get that PR team here just to kind of spread the good news? Because I'm one of those people, of course I try to keep up with things that's going on, but I don't watch a lot of the news because a lot of the news pretty much is just negative. It was always, my teacher always told me if it bleeds, it leads. So it's always going to be negative stuff. And people watch it so much that they get wired. So like you said, when you get those phone calls, it's always something negative. It's because people watch the news so much, they get wired to just think negative all the time. So if we did get that PR team to kind of spread the good news, I think that will help. I don't know what the budget is, but maybe that will help create another opportunity for someone to create more jobs in some kind of way. I don't know what the budget will be.
There might even be an opportunity for an intern to work, you know, possibility. If there's a volunteer, students that are in that communication side that are at USC Union, maybe they help you volunteer and become that PR team for the county and the sheriff department. They work in the different areas where you guys need your messaging promoted. And I think Union time we try to do a good job of promoting the positive things that are coming out. And whatever things that we're involved in, we're trying to promote those things that are positive in Union County. So anything that I'm touching, I'm sharing that information, I'm pushing that information. And those audiences, you know, you don't even think about your influence, but you probably have a 500 to 600 person influence by yourself.
Everybody does.
Right? Every single person.
That's true.
So if we're all doing it collectively, you know, like what Carlos is saying, a PR team, get them on board, absolutely.
It's kind of like the Good News Club type thing.
Yes. A good news club.
Anytime we talk.
I like it. A good news club.
So,
A Union Good
you
News
ain't good
Club.
new club. Tell you what, them guys, and like the things that we talk about, we're always trying to be good. The things that I'll talk about, there's nothing you guys ever done. You didn't build the projects. That goes deep. But what I'm saying is what we can do, as you said, and I love what you said about protecting your when you got elected. I love what you said about protecting your witnesses. I also love the fact that, hey, we can pull out these problems. Let's come together and fix them. Like Tamika said, hey, the Good News Club. All of that. So you guys don't think for 1 minute we're bashing or trying to put something off on either one of you guys, because I think you're doing a good job at what you're doing, and everything we can do to help you. even like Tamika, Alex, all of us, if we can't help you, if we're gonna hurt you, we wouldn't even try to even talk to you. So we just wanna have that avenue to where we can, work positively.
Well, I mean, it's like this, if you take this room right here, I consider everybody here a leader. Because that's what we are, we wouldn't be here if we wasn't leaders. But I tell people all the time, leaders produce leaders, they don't produce followers, okay? Anybody can be a follower, but if you're a good leader, then you're producing more leaders. That's what we have to have. So it's up to me to produce 10 more leaders, you know, and then Frank 10, and you all do your part. So if we all push in the same direction and trying to, you know, to recruit good leadership, that's gonna go a long way in Union County. But we gotta start somewhere, and we can't let off the gas. We just got to continue. So that's why we have to be seen and talk to these kids in schools and talk to them at Little League fields when the COVID lifts or whatever. I mean, if this group right here could just go to the stadium and have a field day or something and speak to all the kids and let the parents know it's your responsibility too. You've got to help us. We can't save your kids. You know, I have to raise my children and you have to raise yours. But I can assist you in raising them, and you can assist me. That's what we need to get across. There's help.
It takes a village.
Yeah, there's help out there for the single parent. You know, I've run across a lot of kids in my time who was a single parent. You know, had a single parent, but they did it the right way. They still had their values. They took them to church. They did what and they do very well. And so, you know, I don't see being a single parent a crutch. I see it as being, that's usually a leader, a positive person, because they're taking care of their kids. They're taking care of what they love, you know. And so once we all decide to do that, then we can all move forward. It's not impossible to do. We just have to decide we're going to do it, and we're going to have to get things moving forward and stick together.
So can we maybe go around the horn and commit to one thing that we're gonna do that's different, that we are gonna do to make a positive change in the community?
I want everybody to come up.
Yeah, I want everybody to come up with something. I'll start. So I know I'm gonna commit to you to help finding ambassadors to do those things, to help volunteer in the community. So I just need to know if we can maybe create that program. And anybody who's a naysayer need not apply.
That's
Okay?
no name, Nancy's to work. I really like that idea.
And follow up. And same thing you shared, with, you know, ambassadors that can help spread that good news and talk about actual positive change. You know, it's about, we don't want to hear all the negativity anymore. So I'm committed to you guys to do that.
Okay, sure. I'm going to continue my efforts that I'm already doing right now, continue putting our residents into homes and continue retaining our citizens. Now that you've given me some insight, you've given me something to, you know, engage people in conversation with about the potential possibilities of Union County. What I would like from you guys is to continue to have those channels of communication open. I'll be in contact with some other things that we discuss here from this podcast. I believe that we have a path forward, we share the same vision, and we have the talent around us. We just got to start putting those pieces together and deploying them, right? You know, so that's my real estate.
Me, with the baseball program, the church, whatever, I'm committed to teach the children, the coaches, to make sure that they're doing positive things when they take those coaching jobs. Make sure that they're going to be a positive influence to the children, because they reach a lot of kids. And, you know, being with Little League or being with the baseball program, I can be there, but I tell the coaches they get a better relationship with the kids. So I'm committed to make sure that those coaches teach all the little children to stand by their pledges. I love God, I love my country, I will play fair, and win or lose, I'm always going to do my best. And hopefully that will create in them children to follow their pledge throughout their whole lifetime, you know.
I'm going to commit to mentorship of the youth. I plan on, you know, stepping out there with some extra children. I have children of my own, but I would like to step out, reach out to some children that need it in a positive light, teaching them things like gardening, maybe taking some children fishing who would never have the opportunity, teaching them cooking, you know, how to cook, maybe even sewing, and, you
Okay.
know,
Okay.
just those things that they may not get if I can offer it to them, and it piques their interest and shows the youth that there's other things out here in the world rather than, you know, the negative. So if I could help teach, you know, just help whoever, any child I can come across, I'm gonna commit to that.
I think I would like to use my platform, you know, to kind of show kids like the in and outs of like working in the media. As far as like, I would like to donate my time to show them how to like edit the audio or work the footage, and maybe even, you know, in some way possible, do something maybe like once a month, because I do move around a lot, shooting interviews. Probably try to do like a monthly section on my platform where I have a few kids, you know, have them sit down and have their own like monthly talk show, and just let them have it and put it on my platform so parents can watch it. And because being in the media, that may be something they might fall in love with. And you know, if I show them the positive side of it, maybe that's something they'll get into. That way, if they do get into it, it's not always about spreading negative news. So if we can get them at a young, early age and show them like the positive side of working in the media, I feel like that'll help going forward and help them put a brighter look on Union as well.
Well, my commitment is I want to commit to the citizens of Union first and foremost, that I want to commit my abilities to inform the communities and help them work and trust the sheriff's office. That's what we really need. I want to make that commitment to let the people know that this is serious business for everybody involved, and that we're going to do our best. And I'm going to commit to holding people accountable for their actions. And I want them to know that, because that's very important this day and time, making them accountable for what they do. And trying to recruit those people, and it's in a positive light to start with. And then once we do that, I think we can move forward with the sheriff's office, and that's going to help our community if we get better vibes from people, better feelings, you know, that we're really there really to assist you. You know, we're not here to hurt, we're here to assist. And I think that's going to be a major deal. But also I want to commit to every one of you. Anybody, any of your programs that you have, that you come up with, Carlos, yours, that you just talking about, your platform, Anastasia, any of those, Alice, Tamika, whatever you need from me, call me, please. I love to talk. If you get a captive audience, I want to be a part of it, okay? I want to talk to them, and I want it to be positive. I don't need negative, I want it to be positive. Tell them what we can do if we work together, and what we can do to try to keep them on that narrow path, that straight path. You know, as long as a child has a goal, then he'll be able to stay on that path. But just like as a child myself, when I was younger, I always feared disappointing my family. I didn't ever want to disappoint my family, and so I'm not saying I didn't do anything wrong, but I was more cautious because I didn't want my grandmother to be hurt by me, or my mother or my father to be hurt. And so that's something we need to let these kids know. If TJ's working with a kid and he realizes that TJ loves me and he's going to try to take care of me, he's going to help me, he's going to be less likely to let you down. And that's where we all need to move. We need to move in that direction and bring these kids under our wings and let them know that they're loved. A lot of kids don't know they're loved. If these kids know they're loved, then we can bring them together, and they'll be the leaders of tomorrow. And I think that's what we need to be.
Well, I'll commit, if folks in the community, like you're talking about the ambassador program, I'm delighted to have people come to me with solutions instead of problems. I'll commit to support you. I will tell you, the first question I'm going to ask you though is someone else in the community already trying to fill this role, and can you partner with them? You know, because we need to do that, because we don't have the resources to replicate, duplicate.
Right.
So,
Right.
but I will support you, and I'll help you get in the right direction to make it happen. I love to have people bring solutions. You mentioned your thing, which is great. I call 4-H on that, just because you could really help them expand their scope in terms of diversity. And they got programs for kids that, you know, from cooking to media to aerospace to real estate and business to, you know, just about whatever you want to do. So, you know, it might be a platform you can plug into.
Anything you had on there that we missed, that we didn't get to talk about, that you guys wanted to talk about before we close it up, like going on with Union County?
I think that's So I think that's pretty well covered. I appreciate you guys doing this. You know, it is important, and I want y'all to know, and I think the sheriff will agree, there's no problem with talking about issues. We know everything's not perfect, you know, and there are problems, and it's fine to talk about problems. We're not trying to, you know, when we say good use club, it's not like trying to do this and just look and say everything's wonderful. We'll talk about problems, but we need folks that are willing to come together to help find solutions to the problems, you know. That's what I'm looking for, and I'm willing to roll up my sleeves, and I know you are too, and go to work, because I'm not doing this, and I know he's not doing this to get rich, right? We decided to do this and to step away from our families and normal life, I'll be honest with you, what I'll call normal life in existence, because we wanted to make a difference in evening, you know. I went in Walmart the other day. This is one good side effect of a mask. I didn't have anybody asking about a road or a dog or whatever. Nobody knew what I am, you know. So we did this because we want to make a difference. So I want y'all to help us make a difference.
Is that how it?
I think, we talked an hour and 15
It's hard to
minutes.
believe.
Time goes by so fast.
fast.
Well, we want to thank you gentlemen for joining us again today. Like I said, for me personally, this was great because before we even started doing this platform, like I said, during election time, like I would walk into the ballot and I didn't know who I was voting for. So this gives me a chance to, you know, get to know you gentlemen a lot better. So for me personally, and especially a lot of people in the community as well, this is an opportunity for them to see, you know, we have masks on, they can, you know, see you, hear your voice, and let them know that you gentlemen are involved in the community, and let you know that you're not, the issues that we have aren't just going unanswered. So I really want to thank you gentlemen for that. If anybody watching this interview, you didn't get a chance to watch it live, be sure you can go back and watch it on, listen to it on Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify, SoundCloud, and also on my website, carlosksmith.com. So until next time, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. This is Union Is Time We Talk, Season 2. Thank you for listening.